Hello and welcome back to the Dysfunctional Podcast. So, summer is coming to an end, which means it's getting to be that time of year. And if you don't know what I mean the time where we're all cooped up at home and it's cold outside, unless it's not where you live, which I'm kind of ready for colder weather, but also kind of jealous of you, and part of me does wish it could be warm all year round. This idea came to mind when a familiar feeling came back, and I couldn't really describe it, but I knew what it was. But I could just feel it. This is seasonal affective disorder. So, today we're going to be talking about seasonal affective disorder, otherwise known as SAD. For a reason, let me just tell you. So, in case you don't know what seasonal affective disorder, the definition of seasonal affective disorder, according to Google, is a type of depression that occurs during the same season each year. Researchers think SAD is caused by changes in the level of exposure to sunlight. My seasonal affective disorder occurs most prominently in winter, but I also know people who experience SAD even in the spring. So today I'm going to be talking about symptoms of SAD, effects SAD has had on my life, and advice if you're going through SAD. So before we get into it, I'm going to be talking about symptoms of seasonal affective disorder. So the first symptom is feeling depressed most of the day, nearly every day. The second is losing interest in activities you once enjoyed. Another one is experiencing changes in appetite or weight, having problems with sleep, feeling sluggish or agitated, having low energy, feeling hopeless or worthless, and having difficulty concentrating. Now I'm going to be talking about the effects that seasonal affective disorder has had on my life. So there is a reason that summer is my favorite season. That's when I feel my best, and I feel like all my problems have just deceased. Well, not all of them, but like most of them. But when winter comes around, all of that changes, and it's not fun anymore. I experience most of the symptoms that I mentioned, but something else that stands out to me that I do is self-isolate, which kind of goes along with like not doing things that you like once enjoyed, because I'm alone in my room so much of the period where I'm experiencing seasonal affective disorder that I have not hung out with friends and just stayed in bed all day, and that's like my favorite thing to do. But during this time, I just really don't want to do anything, and I just want to sit in my bed all day. And I also lack motivation, which makes getting schoolwork done very challenging. I think that burnout also has a role in this, but especially during this time, I just, like I said before, don't want to do anything. And I basically just tell myself that I'm not worth much during this time, and it wouldn't matter if I stayed in bed all day. And sometimes I do. Overall, I think that my self-image is something that I really struggle with in general, but during this time, I feel like it's the worst. And I sleep so much during this time because I feel so drained mentally, and that is simply because my brain is telling me all these lies about myself, and a lot of the time I believe them. I use sleep as a coping mechanism. Yeah, definitely don't think that this is the worst thing you could do. If you've experienced SAD, you know exactly what I'm talking about and exactly how I feel. I find it kind of hard to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it. Now I'm going to be giving some advice to those who experience SAD. So if sad is something that you experience, I highly recommend therapy if you feel like that's something that would help you. Um, I have mentioned therapy so much during my podcast, and I'll continue to mention it and advocate for it. But obviously, I would never want to push anyone into something they are not ready for. But yeah, if you feel like that's something that you would be up to, I so recommend it. I talk to my therapist all the time about seasonal affective disorder, and it's genuinely so helpful. Like, these are licensed professionals who probably have more people than we think come to them about this. When I described what I was feeling to my therapist, she obviously quickly picked up on what it was exactly that I was experiencing. And I think that it's not something that's talked about a lot, and I think more people struggle with it than we think. I know that I never heard about it until it was explained to me. I was just kind of like, I wonder why I'm this sad during a certain time of the year. And then I was told there was an actual name for this, and I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And my next piece of advice is to get a journal. I talked about journaling in my anxiety episode, and just like therapy, I will continue to talk about it because it's so helpful. I think that it's helpful if you're going through something, and even if you just want to rant. And I feel like it just helps me to realize or like process exactly what I'm feeling or going through. Sometimes I feel like I can't put a finger on exactly what I'm feeling or going through, and then I journal and something just clicks and I'm like, oh, that's what this is, or that's why this is happening. And I feel like it just overall helps me to get my feelings out, so then I don't have to keep them in, which is not helpful, or which is not healthy for anyone. I also feel like journaling is just a great way to start if you feel like you're not ready for therapy, or if you don't want to try therapy yet. I feel like it's kind of like that first step to like wanting to feel better or like get help. And my last piece of advice would be to go out and do something once in a while, because I genuinely think this makes me feel so much better. And some of you listening are probably like, Grace, shut up. Like, I know, like that was me too. Like, when I go for a walk, like do some grounding activities, I'm like, shut up. Like, no, I want to be in bed and be sad. But trust me, I know it's hard when you just want to stay in bed all day to be like, I'm gonna go for a walk. But if you really push yourself to go out and do something, you will feel so much better. Go outside, go for a walk, go on a drive, get some coffee, hang out with friends. Just do something, because I know that whenever I'm going through this, it makes me feel a lot better. And I also think that healthy distractions are okay as long as you're not relying on them too much, because then you start to create another problem of just not facing your feelings and avoiding them, which obviously isn't healthy or good for anyone. So for my people that struggle with this, you are not alone. I understand you, and we will get through this. Thank you for listening. I love you, and thank you for spending some time with me. Okay, bye.